There it goes.
If you have slobs, it does when you press the button on there, it goes to YouTube automatically.
We are live, boys.
Hey.
Hello,
morning,
everyone, and welcome back to My Life in Another Anime Podcast, where this week we're going to be talking about Rising of the Shield Hero, what we liked about it, what we disliked about it, what we think could have been improved. I'm your host, the Mangoose. Joining me is the peerless panel of DapperDice, the Viking Jedi, and Owwen. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, starting with Owwen. Let us know a little bit about yourself and what you've been watching this week.
How's it going, guys? My name is Owwen. As you guys may know, I am one of the founders and leaders of the current being developed game Ethereal Clash of Souls. I currently been watching Reincarnated as a Sword, which I really like, and also I am very excited for Blue Lock, which is a weird soccer, I guess you can say soccer, well, I mean, it is soccer-related anime. It's just a shonen, you know, all fights. It's just weird but interesting. I definitely recommend it.
Viking Jedi?
Yep, I'm the Viking Jedi. You probably see me mostly here on Mangoose's channel, usually doing FTM. This week I've been watching, obviously, Shield Hero in preparation because I wanted to familiarize myself. Words are hard, apparently. Just started Asterisk War on Mangoose's recommendation, and I also watched Reincarnated as a Sword, and I completely agree. It's really, really good. Very cute. I'm enjoying it immensely, and I can't wait to watch more. I was giving Mangoose a hard time because I was like, I don't want to watch anime that I can't just binge. But I watched Reincarnated as a Sword. I was like, I don't really know what else to watch. It's obviously highly recommended. I'll watch it, and then I just binged all 4 episodes. Now I'm caught up, and I'm bummed because I'm caught up.
DapperDice?
This is DapperDice here in, obviously, Night City, if you couldn't tell behind me, but also here in another podcast. As for what I've been watching, Rising of the Shield Hero, but a lot of just, I'm going to be spending the next few weeks catching up on older animes because I'm introducing a friend of mine to them. After the Isekai episode last week, her and I are watching That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, so a lot of reviewing to do on my end from this point forward. So I'm excited to show them that, but Rising Shield Hero was definitely interesting. It caught my attention at certain points, to say the least.
Right on. Oh, this week I want to bring this up again. I brought it up on the best anime fights scuffed stream that we did that YouTube shut me down. But I brought this one up, and I want to make sure that this is one that people don't look over, because it'd be easy to look over. Is Akiba Maid War. If you look at the cover, and if you look at the synopsis, you think it's maids, like two maid cafes that have a rivalry. No, it's like ex Spetsnaz that are now maids that are fucking killing the shit out of each other. And like the first episode has the most. It's not an amazing anime, but it has one of the most amazing anime scenes I've ever watched. It's this one maid with 2 pistols, and it's choreographed to like a cutesy maid cafe song, and she is just fucking demolishing people, and it's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. So Akiba Maid War, don't sleep on that one. Give it a watch. You might enjoy it way more than you think you might. But this week it's all about Shield Hero. We're mainly going to be talking about season 1. If anybody who has, as Rich J has said in chat, Season 1 was the best for Shield Hero. As anybody who has watched Season 1 and Season 2 knows, that Season 2 is sort of mediocre compared to the first season of Shield Hero, no matter how you feel about the first season of Shield Hero. So we might get into Season 2 a little bit, but it's mainly going to be about Season 1. So let's go around and let's rank it first, and then we'll talk about why we liked it, why we disliked it, and all that stuff. So I would give it a 7. I'll give it a solid 7. The first season of Rising of a Shield Hero. I gave it a pretty bad rap for a while until I rewatched it, and I was like, you know what? This is pretty fucking good. Like, I don't know what my goddamn problem was. I know what my problem was. It ended, and then it kept going for a couple episodes. that always throws me off. But yeah, I'll give it a solid 7. I think it's a pretty goddamn good anime. Owwen, what do you give Rising of the Shield Hero?
So I was actually thinking more like maybe around 8.5 to 9. If we're just talking about the first season, I think the first season has something very unique that other isekais did not have, in which it was the main character himself. He's not your regular isekai hero. In this case scenario, he is the most infamous person ever in that series. So he becomes with all the odds. I mean, it starts with all the odds against him. And I just think that the story itself just deserves a little bit of a higher grade. It does dull down a little bit for season 2. Anybody who's gonna watch it, I recommend you to keep your hopes down a little bit, your expectations down, because it's just basically a filler season. It's just building character creation towards what's coming next. So it's not as good as the first season, but the first season I would rank it right there about 8.5 to 9.
All right, Viking, what do you give Rising of the Shield Hero?
I was like you, Mangoose. I think when I first watched it, I was a lot harder on it than I am now, having rewatched it again recently. And my guess as to why I was ranking hard was I was watching the episodes as they were coming out each week, and so when it left off on a bad episode, I think it lingered more about how annoyed I was with that episode. But being able to watch it kind of just continuously in a binge format, it was easier to kind of get over the, I guess, poorer parts. So as far as my ranking, I put it at like about a 7.5 to maybe upwards of an 8. I do agree with Owen's take on a lot of it. It was strikingly unique when it first came out in the isekai genre. Like, it had some of the isekai stuff that we're familiar with, but it took such an immediate, like, aggressive turn that you were kind of, as a viewer, shocked that this wasn't like just like everybody loves me, I'm immediately the guy and I get all the girls and I'm powerful. It was a way more visceral human feeling of being brought into this world, and I for that reason alone I enjoyed it. So yeah, I think 7.5, maybe upwards of an 8.
Dapper, what you got?
Honestly, I'm leaning on the lower end of a 7.
Ooh, okay.
It was, like when I was first watching this, when I was starting this binge, because I binged this whole thing in 2 days because I've got that time. Initially, I was like, oh, this is taking some turns I kind of like knew about because I heard about how one of the characters acts. And then I was like, oh, okay, so that's why people think about this character this way. And then, like Viking Jedi said, it then just kind of slows down a little bit. And then the reason it's on the lower end of a 7 for me is because it feels all really repetitive. I'm pretty sure you could fill an entire episode with only the word master and the shield hero being accused of a crime. Just that alone. And that, like, it was interesting at first, but then it happens like every second episode of that word being spouted and a crime being blamed on him. And it's like, I get it. I get it. He's a wanted and things are happening to him. But why is this his whole personality now? So that's why it lingers on the lower end of a 7 for me, though still a 7.
So it kind of spawned its only okay, sex chat 69.site.
Yeah. I'm so used to being able to ban people. I saw that pop up and I'm like, oh wait, I don't have the powers to be able to ban.
Not here.
Not here. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, we're all in different cities, so what city again?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in Night City, so they definitely ain't free.
All right, there we go. I think I got rid of at least one of them.
With the whole thing about Shield Hero and what Dapper is saying is it's the anxiety built up, right? And I guess that one of the reasons why it's so interesting, and this is, I don't know if this is the controversy that you were talking about, but isn't it like one of the worst fears for every guy to ever be blamed on something that you just really can't prove? I mean, right at the beginning, the shielded hero he just gets blamed for rape or for like taking advantage of.
It's a heinous crime to be accused of, for sure. And
one of the guys' biggest fears, right? Because it's your word against her, and you can see how everybody just literally listens to her.
But there's more than just her in on it, and that's the hook of Rising of the Shield Hero. That's what hooks you in, is you see him getting treated like shit and you get mad. Like, you get angry for Naofumi. So you know that this is an anime. He's going to get his revenge. Something's going to happen. Like, he's going to get back at them somehow. You just don't know, you want to know when and where, and that's what kind of keeps you going watching this anime. As it's been mentioned in chat, revenge plot anime is really good, and I think Rising of the Shield Hero is kind of what it spawned several revenge animes. Like Arifureta is kind of a revenge anime. Redo of a Healer, if you're really looking for some revenge anime, I guess you could watch that one. It's a little disgusting. And then, as it was mentioned in chat, Midev was talking about Trapped in a Dating Sim. That one's also a bit of a revenge anime, and I don't know. It's always a good thing when it's always a good sign when an anime spawns copies of itself. And I don't remember. I'm certain that there were revenge plots in animes before, but nothing of the fantasy sort of isekai genre that I can remember. Can you guys think of any?
I mean, I can't think of one like this immediately off the top of my head. I mean, but it does go back to kind of like the reason why I think I rated it a little bit higher was that this was the first time that I'd watched an isekai anime where it was immediately like kind of taken to a dark place and you were kind of thrown onto your back foot a little bit. And again, I was watching it when I first started watching. I was watching it week by week. And so it was like, oh, how are we just going to be left off on that? Like, and you had to wait until the next episode came. It was really intense. I mean, I wouldn't quite go as far as like Game of Thrones, but it was kind of in that same thing. I'd never seen that in an anime before, especially normally what's a lighthearted isekai. A lot of isekais are lighthearted. They're meant to be kind of goofy and fun and, full fan service or, fantasy life of like you got transported and now you're this big badass. You know what I mean? This was almost counter to that. It was the opposite of it, but it also for me endeared me to him because he had to do everything the hard way and he had to do it for himself. And as we know, as the season progresses, he becomes stronger than the other guys who were given everything, and that's because they just were playing it like a video game rather than understanding the realities that were coming through with it. And I think that's what endeared me to it. I fell in love with this almost anti-hero idea, and it was a really almost like the main character from Name of the Wind. It's a book, I know, but Mangoose will know the reference. I don't know if anybody else has read that, but really, really good. I like a good anti-hero, like a guy who's kind of not sure where he stands. Like he struggles with the being a good guy, being the bad guy that they're telling him that he is, and not giving a shit while also giving a shit. And then you throw in, his waifu, Raphtalia, and she changes everything for him. And it just is easy to root for the story. And so that's why I fell in love with it. I thought the bad parts are bad, but there's a lot of really well done world building and writing in there that makes you feel attached to the characters anyway. And I think that was really cool. I haven't seen it before. Yeah,
starting the anime off, only knowing and kind of vaguely remembering the first princess's looks. That's all I knew about Rising of the Shield Hero. And Raphtalia looked familiar, but going into it, it's like, oh, this is definitely lighthearted. Feels like a normal isekai out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And then it's that sudden snap when he wakes up after his first day. It's like, oh, this is where this is going.
Yeah.
And just like, and you understand what the law of the city. It's a nice change of pace as well, because most isekai worlds, people could treat each other however they wanted, and at least this kingdom has a law against certain acts. But in this case, it's unfortunately against the hero that law is the way it is. And then to see everything ripped away from him, his starting gold, the only person he had in his party, any sort of reputation, and, with how rumors work back in medieval times, rumors are fact and there's no way to prove otherwise. So seeing him start with negative everything, it's a hard start. So it's, as we've talked about before, it's like, it's rare to see an isekai hero start with less than nothing and then work his way up.
Yeah.
And as Viking Jedi touched on, it's through hard work. He's not inherently overpowered. If anything, he struggles for so long, and his overpoweredness comes from the fact that he's like, this is just so unfair. I'm just going to keep trying regardless. It's not like he looked for a superpower. It's not like he was even attempting to find some OP ability. He never tried to find offense because he found it in Raftalia. So he gained the power only because the world said, here's something because we like you compared to the other three, to say the least.
That's another thing I like about this particular anime is even his shield really isn't that overpowered. He just finds clever uses for the way his shield works. And that's something I always enjoy about an anime is clever usage of their powers. I talked about that with Akame ga Kill, and I'm talking about that with Rising of the Shield Hero. He has some cool uses of his shield. And I think that, again, that was copied in Bofuri, I Put All My Points in Defense anime.
Yeah. I think it almost feels exactly like that, but it's in its own way, right? It's still really cute because it's a different take on it. I'm actually really happy though, because I mean, when I first started talking to Mangoose about this, that was an anime that I mentioned, and we both kind of had like, but then it hits that spot, and then it's just not as good anymore, right? And we're like, yeah. So it's interesting though that after we rewatched it, so I don't know about anybody who's in chat who hasn't watched it in a while, but if you have like negative remembrances of the show, give it a rewatch, because I think Mangus was really, I was really surprised as I was watching. I was like, man, this is actually pretty good. Oh man, I forgot how good this is. I'm sitting there like in our Discord going like, I forgot that this was actually pretty good. Why is this still so good to me? And so I'm really happy that we chose this anime to kind of give another chance, because it was really kind of sitting in the back of my head, you know, in the few animes that I've watched, as one that I was so disappointed that it didn't live up to how it started, you know. And there were some parts in the beginning that were a little rough, but like it's at like 75% range where for me it really kind of hits the down, but it kind of actually comes right back up fairly quickly. There's only like maybe 1 or 2 episodes that I felt like were really in the dumpsters. They didn't rise up to the same as it was in the beginning. It still was kind of lower than that point, but it still ended the season, I thought, in a good way that I wanted to watch season 2.
Yeah.
We won't go all the way into that, but I did want to watch season 2 after I finished season 1 because of the way that it ended. You know what I mean?
That's the thing too. When you rewatch it, there's a lot of foreshadowing that, like, you didn't notice the first time through. Like when he's back in Japan and he's looking through his light novels, he's like, "Well, this princess looks like a real slut," and it's like, "Oh, you know." And then like when she's walking around with him and she asks how much the armor he's buying, how much she can sell it back for. Like, I didn't really think of that the first time through, but like the second time I was like, oh yeah, it's because she's playing. Well, she was kind of planning to sell it. She ends up giving it away, but that kind of brings me to, I mean, you kind of hit on Jedi. What I felt needed to be improved, was I felt that the punishment when it finally dropped for Mine and the King, was not enough. I wanted to see them suffer. I wanted to see them put out in the streets as beggars or something like that. Owwen, what do you think? What would you?
I mean, here's the deal, right? As a shield hero, you have 2 people there who care a lot about the 2 people who just hurt you. You have the princess with the blue hair, Mel or whatever her name is, and you have the queen, the only other human being that gives a fuck about you, right? So you understand that these people are still their family. So you try to help them as a good person you are. I mean, you found your way. You even though you went through hell for it, you now have companions and people who care about you, and you kind of out of that hole. So you show yourself to be the bigger man by forgiving, per se, these people, right? Just because of someone else you care about. So I think that it's actually a good thing that there was no more punishment and no heads rolled. I think that this just sent a good message about who he really is as a person.
I disagree. Dapper, what do you think?
Conceptually, that does make the most sense. Conceptually, yes, being forgiving, like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't kill them. That was very easy to predict coming. But I will agree with Mangus on this one. For what they did and the amount of damage they caused, simply a nickname for them, technically a whole name rewrite, They got a very easy, especially because in the next scene we see mine. Well, not next scene, but later on we see her adventuring just with a new name. We see the king later on conspiring still, and like they didn't really get punished, and it seems like neither of them care. Because also before we see mine adventuring, we see her freely in the kitchen poisoning a fucking pie, like. Yeah, she's given that much power, that much free reign, and she's not even considered a princess, but like, these are known criminals that essentially violated a multi-kingdom treaty that was just signed and defamated one of the famous heroes that's made to save the world, and they got out with name changes.
Yeah,
like and not only that, like personally, that scene. It felt tense. All right, how's he going to handle it? I know he's going to step in, but like, what's going to be the new punishment? It felt cringe to me, honestly.
Underwhelming.
Not barely underwhelming. Like, I had a negative reaction to it. It was like, I guess we could change their names to those names, but like, also it didn't help that since I watched it in the dubbed, I don't know about you guys, but like the dubbed laughter of the audience felt hollow. So it felt like a hollow reaction to these awkward names for a basically non-punishment to characters that should have been jailed or, you know, worse, because we know this world, they can do worse than jailed.
Strategically, though, I think it was the right decision. Think about it for a minute. What if the hero would have actually, you know, been tough-handed and be like, yep, just kill them anyway?
I'm not saying that he should have killed him, yeah.
Like, at least jail time. At least, like, if we needed to still be generous to show his generous nature, a month of jail time. You know, that's, in my opinion, nowhere near enough. But if the point is to get his generosity across, the name change and, like, a month of jail time. That way they can sit and think about it and also see the prison conditions they themselves commonly use.
So, at that point, we had spent 11 hours getting to hate mine and the king, or trash and bitch as they're now known after that. But for like 11, 12 hours we've been, and then that's all they get. Like, I wanted to see them both get the slave crest and be put into Naofumi's party. That's what I wanted to see. They're like, like the king having to go out and fight. Oh, that would have been great.
Here are the waves you let the heroes deal with casually, and yet you turn your face away from. Because we see the queen go into the waves on her own accord. Like, she's not like the heroes don't ask, "Hey, queen, can you come help us?" It's like, "All right, let's gather the troops. All right, we only got 3 days to do this. Here's an army. Let's go."
How do you call a monarchy that is guided by a queen, where the queen has all the power?
Matriarchy?
Patron. Right? I think that's exactly what they have over there.
Yeah, and it is. You know, that's what we learn about and why the king was using his power when he could, because after that he was going to lose it all. So, but like, it's good to see the dichotomy between what the world was supposed to be versus what it is now by the end of season 1. So it was good to see that contrast. But the comeuppance for trash and bitch were just.
I think it was still a very
unrewarding,
satisfying moment when they put the little slave token on her and they were asking her questions and they finally came out with the truth. I felt like my soul was liberated.
And I'm glad that they had the spear hero directly try and confront this too, because God, that spear hero.
That's something else I wanted from this anime. I thought I was going to get it from Shield Hero. We never got it. I wanted to see him kick the dog shit out of all 3 of the other heroes. I wanted like a Naofumi versus all 3 heroes fight scene where he beats the fuck out of all 3 of them, and we never got that. Jedi, what do you think? Do you think we should have got that, Jedi? Do you think that would have been good?
I less so about like a fight scene maybe, and more of like an actual like coming to terms with the fact that they played a part just as much as the king and mine did with how they were treated him and his treatment as a whole. They were very stand apart from him because he was different, and they quickly read the room and realized that he was different and that nobody wanted to support him, so they didn't support him either. And you never really get any like feelings that that's the case. Even towards the end of the season, they never really acknowledged him in a bigger way. And I think that that's the point we're all kind of saying it, where I felt like, especially first watch through, when that episode ended, I was like, I hated that. That just ruined all the buildup, like Mingus was saying, for like 11 to 12 hours. It built all this resentment and frustration, and now we're finally gonna get somewhere with this. And I don't know what they should have done, but that was really,
that wasn't it.
Yeah. And so, but to go past that, like once that was what it was, I hated the names. I know that there's some translation things, so I watched it in sub, and I don't know what they called her for dub, but it was like bitch and slut was the other one. It's apparently not actually slut. It's more like somebody who's like really sexual in nature, but not necessarily that they're promiscuous, but it's like kind of like a hoochie or something like that. Like it's like a play on words.
Skank.
It's not like a it kind of like it's not like it's less aggressive than the word slut is to us in English, but it still has like those kind of connotations about how she's a little forward. But they kind of quickly move past it in the next few episodes, like they go and they just start doing other stuff. They still do callbacks where they, sometimes say her name and do all that stuff, but fairly quickly we're moved on and we go to the turtle and do all that stuff. So it left, because I watched it now in a binge, it left less of a sour taste in my mouth than when the first time I watched it, where I was like, I don't even know if I want to watch this show anymore. Like, that's how mad I was about that particular episode in this scene. And he walks out like he's like this cocky guy, and like, oh, we should game him bitch and trash.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck? Nobody talks like that. I don't know. It was very cringe. It was really, I don't know. It just all felt
exactly
off.
That was my reaction. Plus, we'd never really seen him act like that ever. Not even like when he was like having the facade of being the bad guy. We'd never seen him do the cocky showboy stunt. We'd always seen him like cool, calm, and collected, or even
really
like
pissed.
Oh yeah, either pissed or sinister, cool, calm.
Right.
We never saw that. So it was just the weird name of calling the king trash and mine bitch were the dub names. And then just that whole scene just felt so weird to me.
It did.
So, it was anticlimactic for sure.
Yeah. And then the scene beforehand with the Pope, as you were talking about Viking Jedi, they do get that sort of like, here's all the things you guys did wrong. Yeah. And here's what I've been doing to fix all your issues, as the shield hero finally gets to explain himself. And then after that, and then being proven corrected in literal trial and convicted for that, the three other heroes still treat him like he's some cheating, horrible person that still needs to not be trusted in any capacity. It's like, what?
To that point too, like when they go to the island and they're doing like their training montages, and we get to meet Ark and the other girl's name, I'm blanking out, the Jewel girl, and
Alexandra is the only part I remember.
There you go. The wave comes, they kill the big wave, and they show up like, oh well, we're here for the loot. I was like, but to me, it kind of just started settling in. These guys are just constantly oblivious. They think that they're in like some 3D, version of a.
They think they're isekai.
Yeah. And they're in a video game. Yeah, they're just so oblivious. And then so again, if I was watching it in 1 week episodes at a time, that shit bothered me a lot more than when I had it all in one continuous motion, where I was like, that's just who they are. They're douchebags who are just so self-centered, and they have blinders on to anything that's not themselves. And it bothered me less, but it was like, but I was annoyed, but only annoyed because it's written well in that sense, right? Like that these guys are supposed to be annoying.
That's precisely another thing that is good about that anime. Is now Fumi tells them exactly that. It tells them, hey, everything that you do has repercussions. Killing that dragon and not cleaning it up, like, have you heard of famine before? Like, have you ever killed a carcass and leaving it there on the floor? Now imagine something this big. Like, it's people, like the other heroes, are not thinking straight on what they're doing. They think that they are overpowered and that they own the world and that, thank God, they're here, right? Mm-hmm. And the shield hero knows they can take us out at any point in time. They can summon 3 other guys. Mm-hmm. And now we saw that there's other ones trying to take us out as well to save their own worlds. So what the hell are you guys doing? Like, y'all better wake up. And
well, then I loved that they got all 3 of them got trapped in the turtle. and were being used because they're weak. I loved that. It's like, but again, we don't get a payoff of when they get, eventually out, that there's any like, fuck, man, we are garbage at this game. Like, we are not good. We keep doing meteor strikes over and over again. Like, that's the only, they know lightning and meteor attacks.
I think they learned that like episode 5 too. So
they're so bad. But I don't know. It's just.
They even watch Naofumi beat the fuck out of the spear hero, and they know that mine cheated.
Yeah.
Wow, how do they not?
That's definitely one of the reoccurring things that I'm like, I get that they're supposed to be ignorant and arrogant, but when they themselves are pointing out facts, even during the scene versus the Pope, they're like, yeah, no, we fucked up. We did some bad things. We're going to repent for this. We're going to do our best to improve from here. And then they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
It's because
if anything, they double down.
It's because they have constant main character energy. That's what it is. They all see themselves as the main character, and that's what's so funny about it is that it's like, well, aren't all isekai characters the main character?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think for me at least, rewatching it, and that's why I think I appreciated it a lot more than the first time, because I kind of like it all started to come together. I was like, they're all thinking of themselves as the main characters. Of course, they're gonna beat the bad guys. They never doubt that they're gonna beat the bad guys. Every time they walk into a situation, they think they're gonna figure it out somehow. They just have to play long enough to be able to beat the boss. And then Naofumi comes in and shows them how actually stupid they are. But they still don't learn from it because they're the main characters. Yeah. They're just like, oh, well, now I know.
Oh, yes, the overpowered hero comes to save the day while I'm still in my training arc. Let's go.
Red Clown, I think you're right. They kind of keep him there as sort of a running gag. And I just don't like it. I wish that they would do something with it. As Med said, trapped in a dating sim, he's up against 4 fucking douchebags, and he beats. There's an arc in that one where he beats the fuck out of all 4 of them, like in mech on mech fights, and it was very rewarding to see. I enjoyed every second of that. I would have loved to seen him fight all the rest of the fucking Cardinal heroes.
I'm gonna say oh, sorry, real quick, Owen, and then you please take over. It does give me a little bit of hope for season 3. I do think that season 3. And I know we're not really talking about season 2 too much. I called season 2 to Mangoose and the guys. I called it a filler season because that's what it felt like to me. It didn't really progress a whole lot, but it does do some fun things. It's still an interesting season. But I think season 3 is going to be set up for possibly all the payoffs that we're hoping for as far as this world is going into. So I in isolation, I think looking at just season 1, there's a lot to be left desired. And then season 2 doesn't really address those things. And so you still feel like you're waiting. I'm hopeful again that season 3 will actually bring all those things together, these exact issues that we're describing, the come up, and maybe some shenanigans that get settled out, some things get ironed,
El Draco King in chat says that he read the novel in high school, and that a lot of our issues with this are stuff that got left out from the novel. See, that's what I hear about season 2, was that there's a lot that they had to jam pack into season 2, so there's a lot that gets kind of left out and overlooked, and they can't really address it. But you need season 2 in order to get to season 3, and apparently season 3 is going to be the cat's meow, the bee's knees. What were you saying, Owen?
Enemy Sense of the Shadow.
Oh, okay. Don't bring up Eminence in Shadow. That the garbage anime. we're talking about a great anime right now. We are talking about some of the things we would like to see improved about Shield Hero, but overall, it was fantastic.
About, like packing all this stuff in just like 12 episodes. I'm like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, and season 2 of Shield Hero wasn't good, just like Eminence in Shadow isn't good.
Going back to Shield Hero,
season 2 wasn't bad.
I do believe that there's a point when you're saying about like, yeah, I wish, Naofumi actually went and just beat the crap out of everybody. I mean, but there were instances where he just doesn't need to. Like, he already beat them. Like, you get to see how he's able to prove everybody wrong. You're making everybody a fool of themselves. You get them to see their errors and mistakes in front of everybody. Like, that's more of a win in my book than any other physical retribution that you could have against them. I mean, the bruise will disappear, but that shame, you won't.
Yeah, but they still don't get it though. They need it beat into them.
Yeah,
that's what they need.
But everybody else does. That's the thing. Everybody else does. Everybody else knows.
But that's why it wouldn't work because he doesn't care about what the people think. He barely cares what the other heroes think, but like he doesn't care if the entire town cares about how they view the shield hero. Like hell, he didn't even want his name to be redeemed because he kind of could care less at this point. He lived his entire time in this world with his name dragged through the mud 7 ways from Sunday. So at that point, he's kind of done redeeming it.
That's exactly what I'm saying that he does. Because whenever, and that's the example that we were talking about, when he had the chance to actually do something about these other people, he didn't go that route. He went to the route of actually shaming them in public to making sure that people knew who they were. That's his whole goal. It's not about him. It's about people knowing who the fuck they're putting their trust on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't trust the heroes. Now they don't trust the princess. Now they don't trust the king. That's been the whole path. It's been about him making sure that they know he's right, they're wrong. And I think that in my book is better than anything else. That's why I give it, a higher rank than anything else. Because it's not a regular conventional retribution. It's something that I feel it has more meaning behind it.
I think they can do both. I'm just saying.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that Owen's like completely off base with his take on it and why he rated it high. I could see both sides of it. I mean, I still rated it a little bit lower than he did, but again, rewatching it, I think I had more patience for the things. And I was surprised by the stuff that I hadn't really paid enough attention to before. So it was good. It's a good anime. I think the part that I did sleep on, was actually the animation for the fights, and that was because it was more of an anime that I considered less about being a combat heavy anime, and it's not really. It's more about a story being told. But the combat in parts was really, really good. At other parts, I felt like generic and boring. But there were some that were like, whoa,
the Pope fight.
The Pope fight was pretty cool. I think the zombie dragon was another really good fight. I thought that was really interesting. As he was battling with the shield. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I think that they did really, really well, but yeah, it was interesting.
I think the fight with the glass was also really good.
The first fight or the second fight?
The one with the ghost, the ghost ship.
Yeah. When she first shows up, oh, dude, she was hot too.
And Nafumi had to run away. Yeah.
I honestly did not. I thought that Glass was part of the enemies. I never thought that she would be part of the three heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, she is the enemy though.
She's both. That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the reason I want to keep watching. I want to see that resolved.
Yeah.
I'm so. And the other thing is, you think the heroes would have wised up after somebody literally powerful than all three of them combined comes down and said, "No, you three are fucking weak. Yeah. Sit down. I only acknowledge the shield hero." And they don't even wise up. It's because, that's sort of the reason that the three others are whatever to me, because they were told so many times, you guys just need to. It's not even get stronger. It's just talk to each other. That's it. That's all anybody ever asks of them. And
he tries to explain to them how they can all level up better together, and they're all they just
toxic MOBA player.
See, I agree with Owen. I think it's exactly what it is. They're toxic MMO players. That's what they are. They're the guys who think that they've got it all figured out. Doesn't matter that somebody else has come up with another idea or a plan to attack. No. I'm the hero here. I'm the guy that's in charge. I've got it all figured out. Main character energy. That's what every isekai is based around. And they're all in their own isekai, and everybody else is a side character. And they don't want to acknowledge, or no matter how many times it's thrown in their face, they've got the blinders on. But I do agree with Red Clown. The Iron Maiden was one of the coolest moves in the show. I think it was really neat. Other than the one where he sacrifices his blood to be able to kill that one was
blood
really, really cool. Yeah, that was pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
That move, blood sacrifice, hit me when it broke the replica weapon. That's when it got me. I was like, oh. And it should have been a wake up for, again, the three heroes. This weapon was supposed to replicate all of the weapons, which is also funny because You don't see it replicate the shield because the idea is that it would have replicated the other three because it's the three heroes church. So it never replicates the shield, which is funny because that probably would have saved him there. Regardless, seeing that weapon just snap, and it didn't look metallic. It wasn't like a metal snap where it snapped in the center there. It looked like it snapped like a twig.
Yeah.
Like it was a fractured, splintered one. And then I was like, and then I was just expecting like it to close and then just a little bit of blood coming out. No, you see a moment where the iron jaws close on him and then it closes around and then it's a gallon going sideways. It's like, oh my God, this is the recompense I felt good for.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to see happen to mine.
It was very brutal. We touched on it a little bit. I am curious about what your guys' thoughts are about the Glass, Arc, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name again. The jewel
Alexandra.
That's what I remember.
There you go. Yeah, she. So I loved the idea of those characters. To be honest, I especially loved that we were introduced to Arc and Alexandra as separate as common hero or as other heroes coming along for an adventure, and the kind of
just wanting to grind a little bit.
Yeah, the grind levels and like kind of the nuances that come with it, and then we get that kind of little twist, and you're like, oh shit, and I think that was really 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 cool. I kind of wish there was more to it than it eventually leads to being, but
I think there will be.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get much of their story, and that's part of the reason why I want to come back to it is because
season 2.
I was gonna say maybe they cover it more in season 2, but just the fact of like, but like in season 1, the way it ends up there is like you just get a little hint of these people, and you can tell that they actually work as a team, which is a big difference. That they work together, they care about each other and how they react. So it's what we want from our heroes, but that's the enemies, and that's kind of the issues, because you want to root for both sides because you can tell they got isekai as well, and like you don't want them to die when you know about that.
They're not isekai. They're born. Yeah, so they're just weapon users. So they get the weapons given to them. It goes more in depth. They talk about it a little bit in season 1, but it's not very well explained. Season 2, they really go in depth and explain it.
Some of them are isekai, others are born.
The 3 that were there are not isekai.
Right.
In season 1.
But I mean, in all fairness, they do get isekai using the warp to go from their world to the wave world.
Yeah, sure.
So, they're in all fairness, they're being transported somewhere against their will to save a world.
No, that's their will. They go there to fight for their world.
I do like how Arc refused to believe that he was the shield hero when they first met. He's like, no, the shield hero is a piece of shit. You're a nice guy.
You're not a piece of shit. Yeah, you're a good guy.
You're not intimidating enough to be him. I like how that was part of the reason.
Like as much as he's been through, and people are still like, no, he's a piece of shit. You don't seem like you're a bad guy. Can't be the shield hero.
Oh, definitely not. But it was good to see Naofumi, fight this dude that essentially counters him and just use new strategies to do it. Like as Mangoose likes, like he used thought process. He didn't use bigger stats. He didn't use a better and better shield as it progressed. Hell, even when fighting Glass, he didn't just find the best shield and use it. He found one that countered her and then used that one. Even if it wasn't like an inherently great shield, it works against her because she uses mana for health, it seems like. Which is also another interesting, cool mechanic to just randomly have show up in a situation like this, where like your mana is your life force, and see that in another character is really cool.
And I like Glass a lot.
I think what's cool too is they are powerful and they do work together, and but they still can't beat him, and it's because of the reason. The reason is because he was treated like shit when he first came to that country, and he went to the school of the hard knocks. And he's fucking a hell of a lot tougher for it. He's even tougher than these guys that are actually working together and stuff. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to see.
Too. He's got one more in his party.
That's another thing too. Reftalia and Philo are both way more powerful than the fucking spear or the sword or the bow heroes.
Yeah.
And they're fun to root for too. Like
they are.
If you're annoyed with Naofumi or something that he says or does when he's being and like an edgelord, like those two just bring so much like levity into each episode and fun, and like Raftalia especially, like, you know, every guy who enjoys an isekai, you love a waifu who's like Rem is another really good one, like where they're just like their devotion and their care and their love like really just oozes out of them in all ways, right? And it's just like it's that unbreakable bond that you just can't ignore, and that's always fun. You always want to root for that character, I think, and so it's and she's cute as all hell, right? And so that makes it easy. But Philo is fun. Philo's so fun. She her whole thing, like where she goes like, Philo is Philo. Like I just love
kicking the spear hero in the nuts constantly.
So good. And well, that brings me to the arc for her where we find like get to meet the queen and like that part. I loved meeting the queen when she was like when they were sitting down and she couldn't remember who her hero was, but she felt the attachment to the shield. Obviously, we all assume that her hero was the shield hero, right? The same way. But just that part where she like lays down and he like pats her on the head and like just the pure bliss that came over her and like calmness, like you could feel the tension in her before that. And it just all went away. And I don't know, for me, rewatching it, because I watched it the first time and it didn't do anything for me. But rewatching it the second time, I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. I was like so happy. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. What did you guys think?
No, I mean it's a moment of a moment of rest for her. You know, you've been the queen for who knows how long, with all this responsibility, with keeping the world safe while the heroes are gone, with all of this, and then finally you're treated essentially like the hatchling you were again. Like it's just a nice little moment of peace among everything else.
Also liked how she was like, bro, grow the fuck up. The world's in danger. You guys need to work together. Like,
also, here's some perspective. This ain't the only kingdom.
Yeah, I know, right? That kind of took me by surprise too, as it took him by surprise. Like, they're summoned to protect the world. They're just working in one kingdom. It's like, whoa, okay, yeah. I wonder what the fuck's going on everywhere else.
I love that too. Fade to Black, Plastic Memories, better than Rising of the Wood Hero. I actually think Plastic Memories is a really, really cute, good anime also. Different in a sense, but I do think the Plastic Memories is really good.
There's a lot of great animes out there.
But honestly, for me, in my opinion, in my view of it, if they had focused on Raftalia a bit more, I probably would have put it an 8. And they do focus on her a lot, I'll be honest. But it seemed like Naofumi was just the main character because he was the one that got isekai'd. And that's really about it. A lot of things happen to him and he responds. While if the show had been more on focus on Raftalia, you could see this, this child grow up and, she wasn't able to face the problems of her past because she didn't feel strong enough. Then with the help of Naofumi, she now has someone there to defend her literally, but also emotionally. And, as someone to be a wall in between what she has to face. But it's not like he's taking anything for it. It's just like, here's some perspective. I'm here to help now. It'll be okay. While we see Raftalia, go through the motions, we see her confront some of her past, confront her own internal issues. When she fights the first wave, you see that moment of hesitation, but then she goes for it. Seeing Raftalia grow, and it felt like the only character growth, really, in my opinion. Seeing that, and with her more focus around her growth, her interaction with humans and demi-humans, stuff like that. Just seeing all of that is what kept me going because I wanted to see her succeed, and Naofumi helps that.
If you want to see that story, then you need to watch Reincarnated as a Sword.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what I love about that's what I love about Reincarnated as a Sword. Is it?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, he's really kind of describing what Reincarnated as a Sword is doing in a good way.
Yeah. But that's what kept me going, is to see Raftalia growing as a character, and that it wasn't like throwing her body, it was the emotional attachment. You saved my life. You cured me of my past, the anxieties I had, the fear. It was a loyalty to it, and that's what made me like Raftalia. was because it was an earned loyalty too. It wasn't one that was forced upon her, much less one that kind of came out of nowhere. Like, she needed that hard, tough love at the beginning, and then it softened up as, you know, they both realized, you know, maybe they're not just some one-noted people.
Did you guys think? And I'm curious because Owwen hasn't said anything in a bit, but I'm curious on your thoughts on it. Do you think it's weird that when we got to meet the green hair girl, who I really liked, I thought she was a really cool addition to the harem, if you will. But the whole like putting on the slave crest thing again, like that just felt really weird. I don't understand why we kept, and keeping her slave crest on, and Philo's slave crest was probably still there. I don't know how that all worked, but anyway, it just felt weird that they kept this idea of the whole slave crest thing. Like, I get that it was supposed to be there initially as like a way to encourage them, even when they didn't want to, you know, maybe go beyond their own limits or whatever. But I didn't understand why. Okay, so you had it at one point for Raftalia, but you're gonna just put it on to this new member to add them to your party. They have to be your slave first. It just felt weird. None of the other heroes did that. Like, why couldn't he just add her on to the party? And
well, he wanted to. That was Raftalia's idea. Was the
but the show writers came up with it. I'm just curious why that was even a thing to be put into the. It didn't need to. It could have just been like, we can add her into the party. Like, why do this whole slave crest thing? And I thought that was weird.
Yeah,
it definitely did throw me off guard too. And it was adorable to see Raftalia try, like, this helped me, maybe it'll help you. Though it was kind of weird what it was. It's more the concept that, like, hey, this helped me, maybe it can help you. And that was the idea behind it, though. Yeah, again, with what it was is made it like, And honestly, it would have been nice to see someone different do it. But when she just immediately 180'd and like, no, I'm doing this, get it now. I was like, good for you. But
it was a little weird.
Oh, and what about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think too much about it. It kind of feels like it was just like, I guess, a pact per se that they want to stay with him. But I really didn't give it that much thought, to be honest.
Okay, so El Draco King says, like, there's a whole like experience. There's like a whole like part of the novel that addresses all of that was cut out.
So like they get an additional like XP boost or something like that by being part of it in that way. Okay, whatever, that's fine. I just thought it was weird.
Red Cloud, she gave me Zenitsu flashbacks. little bit. That's funny.
I just thought it was a little weird. It felt like that was one of those moments again where I was just like, like it just felt gross. Like I was like, and maybe it's just like, again, translation issues or just things being left out. Right? I think we sometimes forget. Right? A lot of these animes are books first, and as anybody who's ever watched a book become a movie or a show, stuff is going to get left out, and anybody who read the books is going to complain about something getting left out. But because it won't ever capture the full nuance that the books do, right? And so if the manga had more explanation and we just don't get it because the show did, but still though, the show writers decided to add that in. They could have not. If they're going to cut out the explanation for why it's a benefit in the first place, or they don't put enough emphasis on it, then they should have just left it alone in the first place. Because I don't even remember a time where he needed to invoke the slave crest for her to do something anyway.
I don't think he would.
I don't know if he did, but that was the thing with Raftalia, was that he would use it when she was struggling to fight, right? When she was too scared, he would command her to do it and she would do it anyway, right? But I don't ever remember him doing that with the green-haired girl, is where he helped her overcome her own, things that would be holding her back from fighting to make her fight. I just felt like so it just became like this thing that was weird to me. It was like, why even have it? I don't know.
It's a staple of his party, so every person in it has to have it. I don't like it, but that's just the thought process there, I guess.
I guess the last thing I would want to talk about, obviously you guys can bring up what you want, but it would be just the overall like ending and the heading into the turtle and the whole fight with the other actually isekai hero, the book hero, who's from another world. What was your guys' feelings on that? Did you like the way that the show did that ending, or was it meh? Did it lower your scores? How did that feel?
Well, that was season 2, right?
No.
Yep, it was season 2.
No, what? No, the fighting the turtle.
No, season 1 ended when they fought the waves in the ocean.
Yep.
When they fought
Season
glass
2 is really the whole
is
fight.
when it ends.
So
when they established the new domain out where Raftalia used to live, and he became lord of that territory. That's the end of season 1.
Yep.
So wait, okay, that's weird then. On mine, it's not. It all kept going.
Oh, really?
Weird is that they have 5 heroes.
That's season 2. Okay, so my bad, guys. Well, now that makes it even worse, Dapper. I apologize, brother. But
I don't care about spoilers.
well, it's less about a spoiler. I guess it didn't. If it ends off, season 1 ends off officially when they go to the town. That's kind of a boring ending.
Honestly, I liked it because it was a nice change of pace. It's constantly just him being downgraded, him being degraded, him being upset about everything. It was nice to see what seemed like a very wholesome end, which I wouldn't have minded been the end of the series, it sounds like. It's just him settling down and realizing, honestly, I didn't have like a terrible life at home, but here I get to be someone. I get to save people. I get to be the person I want to be, and now I get to help more people this way. So he gets to settle down being the Lord of the Kingdom. And that's
So then how many episodes are in season 2?
15 on Funimation.
12. There's like 12, I think, episodes. How many did you say?
But
Okay. There's like 25 in season 1, but it actually, like, I think episode 23 is like, it ends. Like, it has all the trappings of being the end, but then it keeps going for like another couple episodes.
that was 21, by the way, where that ends. 25 is the end of season 1 for me, and then season 2 has 13 episodes. Sorry.
Yeah, there we go.
So I know the voice actor for Nafumi passed away, and that's why some of it
really?
is a little So there is like a transition.
He did sound different to me. In the
Yeah,
dub,
so
at
he
least.
does. So I'm pretty sure that was maybe some of it. So I'm so confused then. Where now, like, because season 2 then I guess has where they go to fight the turtle.
Yes.
And
Correct.
that's where we meet Ost and all that stuff. But that's also in season 2 is when they get, spoilers, sorry, they get transported to the other world where the other heroes are from.
Right.
Okay.
But that felt like that was like 12 episodes into itself, just being in the other world. I'm so confused by the seasons then. The numbers.
So on Funimation, season 2 starts with the bat things appearing, the council talking about, hey, there's the spirit turtle. Can you go deal with them? 3 of them say, no, I don't want to do chores. I want to be a hero. And then they leave. And then the slave crest happens. They start traveling, and you see people like fleeing that direction. And there's this whole montage with the map and them traveling down the path, which was weird. And that's where I ended season. That's where I ended that on the start of episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's after a minor time skip between season 1 ending with the village being built and him becoming the Lord, and then season 2 starting like some time later.
I'm so
and
thrown
the
now.
timer stops as well. That's the other thing, is like the timer stops, and that's where season 2 starts.
Oh, and you gotta go, don't you? I forgot, brother.
It's all good. It's all good. I have a couple more minutes. I do want to talk about like the fact that they have 5 different heroes. Have you guys thought about that? You have 4 heroes on the world of Naofumi. You have the shield hero, the spear, the sword, the bow. And then the other guys have 5.
No, they have 7.
7?
Yeah, they have 7 that wield the sacred weapons or whatever. And then they also have 4 cardinal heroes. So they actually...
That's the thing. The 4 cardinal heroes are the ones that are from another world, right? And then the other ones are guys who can use these special weapons that exist in the world but are born of that world. And the weapons choose those people.
And that's Glass, Arc, and Alexandrite.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So they are 7 of those. Okay.
In season 2, I guess, we get to meet another hero from another world who is also a using one of the main weapons, one of the 4, but not from Nafumi's world, but from another plane. Another world. Yeah.
So there's
a world
3
within a
universes
world.
to pay attention to here, it sounds like.
There's a lot of universes to pay attention to.
Somebody make me a goddamn spreadsheet.
Yeah, because each of the heroes that are coming from different versions of Japan, right? And so you end up with that dichotomy as well.
Multiverse theories.
Yeah, the whole multiverse. And so apparently the multiverse within this universe that has these waves, and the waves impact all the worlds that are impacted by the waves or whatever. But anyway, it's a little
the
weird.
The lore just kind of triples apparently during season 2. What the hell?
Oh, so that part of the thing that's bothering me then is because I enjoyed if I in isolation again thought about season 1 and where it ends at the town, I think I would probably give it a lower score, because part of why I was higher on it was the transition from him becoming lord of the town and then going off to fight in, you know, the turtle. I thought was a really cool way to just be like, get rid of that awkwardness. Was the ending of that whole arc, right? Like that whole like him redemption arc and him now going off to fight. I didn't realize that was the end of a season, because I just watched it all on 9 Anime and they had it listed as season 1 for all of those episodes. So that's why I was confused.
Yeah, that would make sense for that bit of confusion then, because Funimation, it ends it right at the time when he becomes the Lord.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing of that is, like, it sounds like season 2 conceptually is interesting, but it sounds like the execution is...
I like season 2. I'm going to throw that out there. I think season 2 is fine. Fair. Season 2, to me, feels more... Okay, so the turtle part is really good. It's still... It leaves off where season 1 was good. And then it goes into the part, and it's what I called a soft reset, where they reset some of the things, and you kind of have another build-up arc. And then the ending of that was really good, and for me, left me off in a place where I'm like, whoa, where are we gonna now? Everything's gonna come back together in this way. We understand a lot more of what is going on in the greater, you know, world of everything. Now what? Like, and so I'm really, really excited for season 3, because hopefully it lives up to my hype. But because I think season 2 does a good job. I called it a filler season, and the reason why is because it kind of fills in the gaps of the lore and history of people, and, you know, like, it gives a lot more information. It's not nearly as like intriguing for like what season 1 had, where you had like a lot of back and forth political and, you know, and the interperson drama and all that. There's way less of that. It's way more of a common isekai in a sense of where you have the character development is pretty linear, but the story development is a lot higher as far as like the information you gain. Does that make sense? I hope I explained that well. Do you guys agree? Those of you who have watched season 2, am I describing it well?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, season 2 wasn't like a bad anime. It was just like we were saying beforehand. It's like when you got a really pretty girl, then next to an average girl. The average girl looks ugly by comparison, even though she's just average.
It was fine.
It's just compared to season 1, it doesn't sound as grandiose.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to surprise you as much as season 1 might have. Right.
Like season 1 was a revenge story. Season 2 is just standard isekai.
Slice of life.
It's not a slice of life, but it's just standard isekai.
It's a standard isekai is a really good way of putting it. It's still good though. Like, it's still good.
We get the idea does linger. Don't worry. I'm just messing with you.
You should watch it. That's what I'm saying.
I do plan to eventually.
Yeah, you should watch it. Everybody should watch it if they haven't watched it, I should say. Anyway.
Final ratings? 7 on the lower end for me still. A little bit closer to the mid of 7, just because, like, a lot of these make sense. Hearing what's to come is like conceptually interesting. I'm just curious how we get there. Obviously, that's the point of watching it, but a low to mid 7.
Okay. I'm still giving it a solid 7. I think it's a good anime.
I'm like a 7.5 to 8, maybe an 8.5, depending on when you catch me. If I certain parts, I probably would be like 9, maybe even upwards of 10. And then other parts, I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to watch this.
Numbers.
Yeah, like, so that's the hard part about it, right? Is it has some pretty wide swings, but there's also something like you need the sweet to make the sour, right, better, and vice versa. So I'm torn. I think it was overall a really, really good story. Very cool way to approach an isekai. It definitely changed the genre as a whole. You saw a lot of other isekais have to come up with better ways to address things that were brought up in Shield Hero, and I think that's cool. So for that, I think I still sit at like, maybe 7.5, maybe upwards of an 8.5, again, depending on which episode you caught me on.
So I gotta go. But this was a really amazing subject. I can't wait for next Thursday. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we have to pick a thing to do.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I got a ditch today. But definitely excited for next Thursday.
Thanks for coming, Owwen.
Thank you.
We love you. Bye.
Ethereal things.
Things of the such.
Well, so speaking of next week, because I think we probably beat this one. What are we leaning towards? Mingus always seems to have a Rolodex of ideas going on, so I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, we had some pretty good ideas in that showed up on the poll as well, but
Dude, the poll popped off. I expected, because like a lot of times we're known more for FTM and talking about the third person MOBA scene, but that poll had a lot of people. I was surprised. So yeah,
people love my poll.
Yeah, well, they do love your polls, man. They really do. Thank you guys for participating in it. I'm curious what chat would like to do, but I do want to hear what are the ideas that were kicked around for next
One of
week?
them was best training arc in an anime.
Okay,
that's the one I can remember off the top of my head. I do like that we focused up this week and focused on one anime.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of how we'll proceed, is just focus up on one anime, but do something like that, like best training arc. Every once in a while, like when we're kind of feeling it, but
when we're feeling very general, we can. But having one anime, or even two, depending how we feel later on.
Yeah, I didn't mind
having. Yeah. The first episode where we did Demon Slayer and Jujutsu also worked very well, because we were able to stay focused and have long discussions instead of like, this anime was cool. Here's about a 3-minute excerpt. Why?
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
You know, we're figuring this whole podcast thing out, so expect a little bit of fluctuation, but it seems we're going to settle on 1 to 2 animes to talk about per week. So if we can find, another anime between now and then, we could do Rising of the that time I was reincarnated as a sword.
Well,
I don't know how many episodes of that, but
it's only like 4 episodes.
4. So by next week it would be 5. No, we should. If we're gonna do that, we should probably focus on ones that are completed.
Suggestions from chat. What do you guys want to see? What do you guys want to talk about? Is there a particular anime that you guys want to review, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully, it's not like
episodes.
Not One Piece where it's 1,000 episodes or something like that.
We're not doing that. We're not rewatching Naruto. We're not going back in time and rewatching Bleach. And no, we're not. I'm not doing any of that. No, no.
So what's up with
it's like a season or a 2?
What's going on with Bleach? Disney's not showing. Disney bought the rights to Bleach, and they're not showing it in
the US.
In the US or something like that.
I think so. That I heard there's some drama around Bleach. I'm not a Bleach watcher, so I don't know. But I heard, I think it was on TikTok or something like that. Somebody was complaining about the fact that you, in order to watch it, you have to go around Disney,
the VPN and stuff like that.
Konosuba. Red Cloud, I would love to talk about Konosuba.
I would love to talk about Konosuba too. Because what it would do is force me to rewatch it, which would be fine because it's it's one of my favorite guilty. I don't know.
You get more of them Aqua ass cheeks.
I do. I love Aqua. Aqua is one of my favorite characters. I think she's great. I would love to talk about Konosuba. Redo of a Healer. I don't know if I've seen Redo of a Healer.
El Draco King already talked about that a little bit on here. I don't think Viking or Dapper want to watch Redo of a Healer.
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, you would know it if you've seen it. It's
okay.
It's intense.
Fair.
Dapper, have you seen Konosuba?
I have not, so I'd have to figure out where to watch it, but
Konosuba is good. I think it's on Funimation.
Yeah. It's not.
Oh.
I don't want to just checked. I don't want to keep making Dapper watch anime.
Perfectly fine. Honestly, if I need to set out a week just so that way you guys can talk about anime you love, I don't mind.
But you would like Konosuba. That's the problem.
I do want to watch it. That's the thing. But if I do need to step out a week, that's perfectly fine. We've got 4 of us here. 3 is enough.
You're watching right now with your friend reincarnated as a slime?
Yes, that's what I've been rewatching a lot of animes with people because I need to catch them up. My friend had only seen DBZ, and that was really that, and I couldn't remember the name of the anime, but like I have a lot to catch her up on, so that's where most of my focus is. But on my own time, I am watching animes that we do weekly. If we need one that we've all seen, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's only 24 episodes. If you guys need to rewatch it, but like we could do that one.
I haven't watched enough of it. I know it's like some people's like favorite anime. Maybe that's
it is.
I know, and I couldn't get into it.
I'll do an early poll. I'll put like Konosuba, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because it seems like chat really wants to talk about Konosuba. Everybody loves
Figure
Konosuba.
out where to watch it. I'll figure out where to watch it.
Konosuba's really funny. It's again for an isekai. It's really really well done. It's an
easy watch. It is an easy watch.
Easy. It's got a little bit of fan service, but done in a goofy, fun way.
Almost anybody. Oh, that anime. Okay, I've seen. Okay, I didn't know that was the anime. I hadn't seen it yet, but I do know what it is now.
Yes. Really good. Very funny.
Yeah. It does look interesting. I will say that much. I've seen a lot of clips about it. So
you would like.
Yeah, this definitely looks like one I'd binge. This looks like one I'd binge.
All right.
Well, so there you go. We'll put together a poll, Mangoose. Do another one of your famous polls. Put it up on the.
Okay, but I'm gonna put all 4 options as Konosuba because I want to watch.
I would feel bad making. I'm fine talking about reincarnated as a shield hero, or I'm sorry, reincarnated as a shield hero. So reincarnated as the slime again. It's been forever since I've watched season 1. I don't know how many seasons there are now, but I think it's 2.
Like, it might be 3. I don't know. I haven't checked.
I can't remember 2 or 3, but it's been a long time, and it was when I first watched it, it was one of my favorite anime. So I don't mind watching it again. So that's fine. And I did not finish. I watched like the first 3 episodes of the other one, the Brotherhood one.
2 seasons.
Yeah, I think I watched 3 episodes of it. I know it's like some people's like favorite anime. People who love
very good.
Anime, yeah,
Oh,
I've heard.
Fullmetal Alchemist is 1 episode, 1 season. I mean, I was talking about Slime. That's 2 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I think, is only 24 episodes.
That's fine.
All right.
Put them all in there.
Let's start wrapping it up, boys. Let's start wrapping it up.
Yep.
Oh,
God damn this! What is going on tonight?
Wow.
That's how you know you've made it, boys.
Yeah. You've hit the big leagues. Good job, everybody. We did it.
Yes, we have people advertising in the.
Let's go. He's got into a podcast. Here's our harem.
Oh shit!
While we get ready to end this, I want to do the plugs. FTM this week, I think, is going to be super spicy.
Oh yeah.
So for those of you who normally tune in for that, I can't wait for you guys to be in chat and interacting with us on that one, because that should be fun. A lot to talk about. Finally, we don't have to be searching for things to talk about. We got lots to talk about. So there we go.
Good.
Both versions of Full Metal. I'm not watching both versions. I can barely start the third. I think I got 3 episodes into Brotherhood, and I was like,
Really? Okay.
I see what happens on the 3rd episode that's making you.
I know it's not because I don't think there was anything that was like inherently bad. I just wasn't like brought in enough to be like, I'm going to spend the time to do this. Like I just was like,
I could see you getting to the Chimera episode and then not wanting to live ever again, but. Dapper,
that's episode 4. He stopped right before it happened.
Dapper, you got anything? Got anything to plug this week? Any final words?
As of 2 things to plug. After this stream, I'm gonna wait about 30 minutes. I'm gonna start my own ARAM stream for tonight on League of Legends. It might not be for everybody. Just me keeping my MOBA knowledge up while I wait for Overprime to release, because that's what I'm most excited for. And then tomorrow, for the Fault partner panel, I was invited on to be a part of it. So if you want to tune into that,
let's go. Yeah, we're doing an extravaganza tomorrow for the Fault partner panel.
Everyone it's a last hurrah to everyone that showed up on the Fault partner panel. Everyone's getting an invite. We're all here. It's a Smash Bros.
Chaos will ensue for sure.
Yeah. Oh no, we got it planned out. Everybody's not going to be there at once.
No. But various things. But show up for that if you want to give Fault a fair send off, or I don't know what's going on, but I think that's what's happening. I could be wrong.
I might get emotional.
Oh no!
I think
those
Mingy's might get emotional. Dude, it's weird. I know we're wrapping up, but for Fault, and I don't want to give away too much for what we'll probably talk about tomorrow, but like that, it meant to me, and Mangus hit the nail on the head. I think it's been a staple of like, if you miss or loved Paragon, you had a game that was as close to a Paragon as you could have, and it was sticking around through thick and thin for the last 2 years, barely making it each month to month, and it now is coming to it, and it's kind of a bittersweet moment. Like, I think we knew that it was happening at some point. I
think it needed to happen as well. I don't think we needed 3 Paragon remakes. Yeah, but
and above the 3, that was going to be probably the one that was not going to survive. But being how long it stood, it does kind of
So good,
it hit me a
better
little
that
bit.
they went off
Yeah,
on
when the
that
announcement
terms.
came through, I was in the Discord talking with everybody when it came through, and it was like really weird. It felt heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's good they did it on their own terms and not after Overprime and Paragon. Because I remember somebody bringing up, like, in one of the Discords, like, it's a good thing that they went out on their own terms. So it's not like they died because of Overprime and Predecessor. They're like, you know what? We're good. Gonna cut it before it, that's what they're blaming it on. So
yeah.
good they did it on their own terms. Proud of them.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion of Rising of the Shield Hero. If you have anything to add, if you have anything that you wanted to change about Rising of the Shield Hero, or something you just wanted to talk about that you thought was cool in that show, let us know in the comments below if you're watching this in video format. And for those of you that came out for the stream, including 69girls.xyz, appreciate you coming out and enjoy the show.
Yeah, coming out.
But glad to have you. But for now, this is the My Life in Another Anime podcast crew signing off. You guys have a good one. Jesus.
Good.
Coming out.
Boy.
I'm surprised you didn't capitalize it on all